This is Pastor's Perspective. We're here every Monday through Friday providing answers on a variety of topics, including the Bible, end times, other religions, and the family. Call right now with your question at 1-888-564-6173. That's 888-564-6173. You can also post your question at facebook.com/Pastor's Perspective. And now here again is your host, Brian Perez.
Well, hello there. How's it going? Thanks so much for watching and for listening to the Pastor's Perspective program. We're live on this Tuesday afternoon, and in the studio today to answer your questions is Pastor Brian Brodersen from Calvary Chapel, Costa, Mesa in Southern California. Also, author and apologist Dr. Bobby Conway is here in the studio with us. It's that 1 week every month that he comes out and joins us here. So, Bobby, good to see you here. And joining us on Skype, we've got the birthday boy, and I think he's wearing his birthday shirt because I've never seen him wear that shirt before. It's Tony Clark, the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Newport News in Virginia. Happy birthday, Tony.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, would have been a nice birthday gift to have been out in southern sunny California, but God shows personal favoritism to no man, but I guess there is personal favoritism with this situation. I understand. I got it. I don't have the seniority yet, and the great doctor does. Okay. All right. Let's get this thing rolling.
So, Tony, now, Brian, how did you know it was Tony's birthday?
I saw it on Facebook.
You saw it on Facebook. See, this is the disadvantage of not being on Facebook. You don't know these things. But, okay, Tony, now, let's think. Are you 54?
I am a double nickel. I am
55.
Yes.
Senior discount, baby.
And you know what? It's funny. We went to IHOP this morning and we ordered off of the 55 and older menu, and I felt ancient. I couldn't believe what I was doing. I said, I can't believe I've been reduced to this.
Now, did you go back for the early bird dinner at 4 o'clock? I think.
No. The family is just in the background waiting on me to finish up with this so we can do the cake and to sing the happy birthday and all that kind of stuff. But I tell you, I couldn't believe this morning what I was ordering from.
Wow. That is something else. 55.
It looks like he trimmed 5.5 inches off of his beard since last week.
I don't know, man. That gray coming through there.
It's gray is coming through. It really is. And
you know, there's something like Brian said. There's something about the shirt and the beard. It's really like it's looking good, man.
It's epic.
You are really styling it on your 55th.
I'm trying to hold on while I can.
That is wild. So 55. I'm trying to think. Gosh, were you like 25 when I met you?
Yeah, I was in my early 20s. Matter of fact, when I started going to Calvary Vista, you were 32 years old.
I was 32. Oh, gosh.
32.
Okay. So you were more like 21.
I was young. I was somewhere in the early 20s.
Crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy.
How does this happen?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, other people get old, but it's not supposed to happen to you, right? And look at Bobby.
Quick.
He thinks he's going to be cool and grow a goatee, and it turns out it's gray.
But I got a black mustache. So.
Yeah, I know. It's the professor look, kind of the Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, I'm going to have to shave soon. My wife is not. Yeah, I know, Tony, but you know, I've told you before, the good missus has warned me very sharply that if it gets too long, then she's not going to shave her legs. And it's just an absolute game changer for me. I'm like, if you're going to start growing your leg hair out, then I'm done.
Then you're done. Get the razor out.
Okay, so one last question, Bobby. How's the family? How's everybody? Because you guys went through a COVID ordeal.
Yes, I think that we are doing better for sure. We're out of quarantine now, so that's good. And, I'm kind of thankful that we all got it at once in some ways, just because you don't have to keep on quarantining over and over again.
Yes, right.
So, yeah, thank you for asking. And it'll be nice to be able to have church this week. And I think we've had to cancel 3 out of the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's discouraging.
That's frustrating, yeah.
But you just proceed.
Yeah. Now, Tony, what's the vaccine situation out your way? You guys getting the vaccine? Are you?
Yeah, it's starting to make its way around.
Okay.
It's starting to make its way around, and which is good for a lot of people.
Yeah, you seen more people come back to church?
Yes, we are. We seeing people that it's been out for a year.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're starting to come back, and it's just tough trying to get back in the groove after being out for over a year.
Yeah, boy, yeah. Well, last weekend was the year anniversary of the shutdown.
Jeez.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. I was just coming back from being out there. I was speaking for Pastor Greg Laurie, and I was flying back, and soon as I was flying back, they were talking about some pandemic stuff, and I was like, huh? So I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I was flying back from Pensacola, Florida. I had done a few days out there with John Spencer, and came back on a Thursday, and it was like, no, we're fine. We're going to have church Sunday, not a problem. And boom, Friday, everything shut down. So, yeah.
Wow.
But good news for us here in Southern California, we are now in the red tier.
Yep.
Which, takes us back to, a lot more of a normal kind of a life experience, right? We can go in a restaurant and eat inside.
Oh, I couldn't today. I asked, can I eat here? They said, no, not yet. I'm like,
you're kidding.
Okay, no. So
it was probably your hair, though. I think
it probably was.
Yeah.
I think that probably freaks me out.
Especially with the wind. Yeah, we don't want to let this guy.
I forgot about no hair remarks.
That's right.
Brian and I were in a training session yesterday, and we learned that you're not supposed to talk about people's hair. So
people need to chill out.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What's the deal with all? One of the things drives me crazy since COVID is how many people have shut down their bathrooms. I feel like I'm in Western Europe, and I'm just so ready. Like, have you ever had to drive from place to place to place to place? You're like, I have got to just simply, use the restroom, and nobody will let you use it.
Yeah, I know that has been. I've had that experience where you go in I'm on the road. I pull over in a little one of those little Mart things with the gas pumps, and you go in and you're going to grab a bag of peanuts so you can use the bathroom, and oh, sorry, sir, the bathroom's closed. I go, why is the bathroom closed? We're in the middle of nowhere. What are we supposed to do?
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
But they have said that if the numbers start going the other way again, that they will have to shut everything down. Which to me is like, really? Come on.
Yeah. Yes. But we're just going to pray that they just keep going in a positive direction. But it is pretty crazy that Europe, I just got a note from a friend in Italy today saying that they're back in a lockdown. Again, a pretty hardcore lockdown. They can only go to medical services and the grocery store. That's all they can do. They can't leave their communities. But thankfully, they can go to church. So, good. Yeah, so that was good. The silver lining there.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, that's enough trivial conversation, I guess, for the day. We just had to catch up. We haven't seen each other.
That's right.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Well, for sure. It's great to see you, and it's great to be in Southern California.
Maybe we'll have to go to dinner at your favorite Italian restaurant.
That sounds amazing.
Because my wife's leaving town, so I'll be in the bachelor.
A double date is on, dude.
The bachelor mode.
And Tony's like, I like Italian food too.
I know, right?
Where's my invite?
Well, Tony, look, anytime. I mean, you want to pop on a plane and come on out, just, the welcome mat is out.
The bromance is ready to happen, Tone.
Oh, yeah. And I would love to, when you're out there, great doctor, I would love us to be out there together. That will be a great thing.
I agree.
We'll make it happen. All right, 888-564-6173 is our telephone number, and we would love to talk to you today, 888-564-6173. We'll start our time on the phones with John in Rancho Cucamonga. Welcome to Pastor's Perspective, John.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much. Blessings on you, brothers. Thank you for
John.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, I want to know what stories in the Bible talk about the rapture. Like, where can I find that?
All right, Tony, we'll start with you.
We get some people like to say, well, the word rapture is not in the Bible. Well, it is. It all depends on what Bible you're looking at. We get the idea and the concept from 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 13 through 18, when it said that they shall be caught up to meet the Lord in the air. The Greek word for caught up is harpazo. It means to snatch away by force. The Latin is raptures, where we get rapture from. So the word rapture is in the Bible. It just depends on which Bible you're looking at. So 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 through 18 is the verses that is looked upon where we get the idea of the rapture from. The concept is throughout the Bible, but I just wanted to give you that part of the 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 through 18.
And I think also 1 Corinthians 15:58 is a great passage. Yeah. I mean, it says something similar, but the wording is different. But it's basically talking about the same event.
Does that help you, John?
I like to know if there's more as well. And you said 1 Corinthians 15?
15, yeah, 15:51 through 58.
Yeah.
And then you have... you have also what you might call types in the Old Testament where the experience of some of the Old Testament saints is a type of the rapture. So you have, for example, Enoch way back in Genesis chapter 5. And it says about Enoch that he walked with God and he was not, for God took him. So Enoch just, he just was taken by God, just supernaturally, didn't experience death. He was taken. Then you have something kind of similar with Elijah, where Elijah doesn't die, but he's taken by the Lord. He's taken up in a flaming chariot, so people actually, saw that event happen. So people look at those two things and say, well, there's kind of an illustration of what the rapture is going to be like through the experiences of these two prophets.
Does that help you, John? Well, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just say one thing. I mentioned it quickly last week. Just looking at the outline of the book of Revelation 1:19 has a divine outline to help us understand the entire book. He says, write the things which you have seen, the things which are, and the things which shall take place after this. The things you have seen is talking about the things of Jesus in chapter 1. The things which are the church things in chapters 2 and 3. And I mentioned how the church is mentioned 19 times in chapters 2 and 3. And then the things that shall take place after this. That phrase after this in the Greek is metatauta. And it's so funny how the church is mentioned 19 times in chapters 2 and 3. And then in chapter 4, it starts off with metatauta to let us know we're in the third section of the divine outline given to us in chapter 1, verse 19. And John is a picture or type of the rapture when he is told to come up here, and then he enters into heaven. And then chapter 6 through 19 that covers the tribulation period, the church isn't mentioned one time, one time in those chapters.
So does the book of Revelation mention like how it mentions in Thessalonian and Corinthians at all?
Well, it's mentioned in, just like Pastor Brian said, in a type. John being told in chapter 4, verse 1, to come up here is a picture or type of the rapture of the church, because John is in heaven in chapters 4 and 5. And which is a picture or a type of the rapture of the church.
All right, John, thank you for your phone call today on the Pastor's Perspective program at 888-564-6173.
If John's interested, he could go to backtobasicsradio.com and he can download a free ebook on the subject of the rapture called Caught Up, I think, is the title of the little booklet. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So go to backtobasicsradio.com. That's not just for John. Anybody listening right now, you can do that as well. Go to backtobasicsradio.com, click store, and then you'll see a bunch of different resources from Pastor Brian and Cheryl. But the one there called Caught Up is a free downloadable ebook. So check that out there at backtobasicsradio.com. 888-564-6173 is our number. And next we're going to go to Stephen in California. Welcome to Pastor's Perspective, Stephen.
Hello, pastors. How you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Doing great.
Good. My question is between Cain and Abel, when Cain killed Abel and God gave him that mark so he wouldn't be killed by anyone. I thought it was only Adam and Eve and their two sons. Who was he afraid of going to hurt him?
All right. Bobby, what would you say?
Well, the reason we think that is because that's all that we have recorded of who's alive with a name, Cain and Abel, as the sons of Adam and Eve. Nevertheless, we realize that he was afraid, implying there are other people alive. Now, this doesn't mean, as some would want to say, that people came from other pairs besides Adam and Eve. It just means that they lived a long time. Adam and Eve continued to have children, and you can't even begin to imagine, unless you just do some of the statistical studies of after 50 years of, legacy building and having children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, how much population can begin to boom. Yeah. And so we know that they lived hundreds of years. We don't know exactly how long the time lapse was at this moment. And so we would assume that these are descendants as well of Adam and Eve who spread out over a season of time.
What do you think, Stephen?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for calling us today on Pastor's Perspective. 888-564-6173. We've got Brian Brodersen and Bobby Conway answering your questions today. Also, Tony Clark, he's on via Skype. Even though it's his birthday, he's here with us today. And we're so thankful for that we've got Tony here every Tuesday now. You know who else's birthday is today is Tommy Costa, another pastor friend of ours.
It sure is.
Yep.
It sure is.
Yep.
Wow. Look at that. Tommy turns the big 50 today. So
he's part of the Nickel Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to admit, though, I was shocked. Tommy always seemed so young to me, except he's been growing a beard and it's gray. So I'm looking at that going, okay. But, I was looking at my son today and he's got a beard and his beard's gray. So I'm thinking, wow, we've got an epidemic of gray facial hair going on around here.
It's all the stress in the world.
You have a dark brown beard, though, don't you? If you were to grow it out?
Yeah, my beard would be as white as snow if I grew it out. My friend Richard Cimino grew out his beard recently, and man, it's so white. He's just like a big ball of white cotton.
888-564-6173. To Virginia we go. What part of Virginia are you in, Jackie?
Hi, I live in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Lynchburg. All right. So Tony is in Newport News. Where's that on the map? Is it nearby? Are they hours away?
Yeah, they're 3 hours west of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's in Troy Warner territory. Troy's a pastor at Calvary Chapel.
Yes.
Do you know Troy, Jackie?
No, I don't, but because of Equip Radio and Pastor's Perspective,
right.
I have started branching out to visit, so he is on my list to go visit.
Great.
Yeah. I come on the radio there, Equip Radio. I come on there at, I think, 4:30 p.m. and a.m.
Nice.
And is that Pastor Tony speaking?
Yeah, it sure is.
You have a birthday. Are you doing the Book of Ruth? Because it sounds like your voice, and I've been listening to the breakdown of the Book of Ruth. Is that you that's doing that?
That happens to be me. Yep.
That's cool.
Yes, I love it. It's one of my favorite books. Of course, it's a love story, and I just love it. So I listen. It seems like I start at 5 a.m. until I go to work. I'm the nurse, and you guys have helped me so much with my walk. It's getting better. And the comment is that I went to see a gentleman of Muslim faith. I'm a nurse, and he was very learned and very smart and he knew his faith. And I could see it. He wanted to convert me, but I'm not Muslim. I'm Christian. I follow, I believe in the Trinity. And I said, there's no way I'm going to hold my own with this gentleman. But because of learning, studying, listen to Cheryl, Brian, Pastor's Perspective, Equip Radio.
Wow.
I just got to share my testimony. I'm also the woman that, survived domestic abuse that you guys talked with me before. And at the end of our conversation, we respected each other with love.
Wow.
And that's only God. And there was no way. So thank you guys for everything that you do. And my question is, because I am studying from the beginning, Genesis, and letting the pastors break it down, I listen. My question is about Esau. When Isaac gave the blessing to Jacob instead of Esau, and he said that he would kill his brother, my question is, if he had a change of heart, if he finally would turn to God in spite of that, would things have turned out differently? So this is Pastor's perspective that I want to know, because I'm listening a lot about how we sin, we backslide, we're not Jesus, but we have got to stop doing the things and turn back to God. And I'm just wondering, why this, where he's human and we have freedom of choice, of course. But I'm just wondering, from your perspective, if he had changed his heart, even though he lost and he was angry and bitter, could things have turned out differently for his lineage, his family?
Brian?
Jackie, that's an interesting question. I think that one thing we have to understand is that, Esau was rejected for the blessing, the covenantal blessing. So the covenant that God had given to Abraham and then to Isaac would pass now from Isaac to Jacob rather than Esau. Even though Esau was the firstborn. So Esau was actually the one who was in line for the blessing, but God had chose Jacob. So all that to say, it doesn't mean that Esau was rejected on a personal level by God. It doesn't mean that he wasn't in a relationship with God in his own personal life in the future. And if you look at Genesis 36, you find that Esau was the father of the nation of Edom, and there were princes and these great tribes that arose from Esau. We know that later on in life, there was a healing between Jacob and Esau. You remember when Jacob is coming back from being with his father-in-law Laban, he's going to make his way back to the land of Canaan, and his brother Esau meets him. Jacob is scared to death because the last time he saw Esau was going to kill him. So he's frightened. He thinks, oh no, this is it. So he comes up with this elaborate strategy to try to avoid this conflict with Esau. This is where he wrestles with God, and God breaks his hip, sort of, and puts his hip out of joint. So Jacob has no recourse but God himself. But then when he meets Esau, it's a completely different story than he imagined. Esau's like, my brother, hugs him, kisses him, wants to bless him with all these kinds of gifts and things. And so it ends up being good. And then the last thing we see about Esau and Jacob together is that they were there to bury their father Isaac. And so their relationship was restored. I would imagine that Esau believed in the God of Abraham and Isaac as well, but he wasn't the one who was going to carry the covenantal promise into the future.
Bobby, what would you add?
I would just bring out Genesis 25, where Esau, with disdain, forfeits his birthright.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I do think that kind of set some background up that could have caused things to be problematic. God, knowing the future, knowing the difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
And I think that ends up playing itself out in some of the storyline that you depicted.
Yeah, and Esau is referred to even in the New Testament as a profane person. But profane.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention.
And when we think of profane, we think of it differently than the Bible actually uses. The word means common, means not into holy things, more just into common things, natural things. And that really was kind of the story of their lives, right? Yeah. Esau was the nature guy. He was the guy that was out there hunting. He was the guy that was the rough and rugged, guy out in the wilderness getting the great food for his dad. And Jacob was different. Jacob was, some people have said Jacob was a mama's boy. He wasn't that. But they're reading something into the text that isn't there. Actually, what the implication is that Jacob was the responsible one and Esau was irresponsible because he was like Peter Pan. He just never wanted to grow up. He wanted to go have fun and hang out with his friends. And, he's kind of like most men today.
He had a beard like Tony's.
Outdoorsman, rugged man.
That's right, rugged. So, Jackie, I don't know. How did that do for you?
That is wonderful. And, because, of course, I try to help my own family, and I pray for them. I'm doing like Pastor Cheryl said, I'm on my knees praying for my family because right now I'm really the only one that has that type of urgency, and thank you for the information about the rapture. I'm trying to explain that to a brother and a young 21-year-old irresponsible son. And I just keep praying for them and asking God to show me wisdom and guidance. So thank you very much for that explanation. It was perfect.
All right. Well, it's always good to talk to you. Glad you're listening. Glad you're being encouraged. And God bless you. Maybe we'll see you sometime out there in Lynchburg.
Yep. Central Virginia's Bible teaching station is how she listens to the program on kwve-fm. Bible teaching station, BTS. Isn't that Korean boy band?
I don't listen to boy bands.
You don't listen to K-pop?
No, I've never been a boy band fan.
No. Well, the Beatles, the original boy band.
No, come on.
All right.
No, the Beatles wrote their own songs and played their own instruments.
No,
good point.
Brian's more of a Vanilla Ice guy.
Michael in California, you're next on Pastor's Perspective. Hello.
All right, thank you. So how are you doing?
Doing well. You have a question about Jude 14.
My call. What was that?
You have a question about Jude 14?
Yeah. I just had a question that I just finished the New Testament and I'm halfway through the Old Testament. I just had a question because I've always heard that there was no evidence supporting the Book of Enoch, so I never even looked into it. But I was just wondering, where is Jude talking about where Enoch was prophesying? Like, is there any scriptures that we know of, or are they were just lost? Or
Bobby, what's the Book of Enoch all about?
Well, you can go to the book of Enoch in chapter 1, verse 9, and it says, "And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones." Yeah. And then when you juxtapose that against the passage that you're inquiring about in Jude 14, can help you to understand a way to trace it back. Now, while it is true that Enoch, or First Enoch, was not part of the canon, it doesn't mean that we can't derive historical valuable information from those passages that you'll find in the apocryphal type writings. And so I'm personally thankful. Like, this is one of those moments where you can look at and you can see how the biblical writers appreciated extra biblical writings as having historical value. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we should be able to recognize that just because something's not part of the canon doesn't mean it's not valuable. It doesn't have to be inspired in order to make a difference. And so where would Enoch then have got his prophecies from? Well, from God. I mean, obviously we can trust, because that particular passage from First Enoch made it into the scriptures, that it's telling the truth about the historicity of that passage.
Yeah, and I think, I was listening to a great conversation between Gavin Ortland and Michael Kruger the other day about the canon. And
the music came on and just had to cause you just
totally ruined what I wanted to say. So
the music does that. We need to switch to floating breaks, guys. We got to look into that.
Hit that up on the
back in a little bit.
Pastor's Perspective continues in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Pastor's Perspective continues with your question to 1-888-564-6173. And now here again is your host, Brian Perez.
Phone number once again is 888-564-6173. And here to answer your questions today are Pastor Brian Brodersen of Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa in Southern California, author and apologist Dr. Bobby Conway from the 1 Minute Apologist channel on YouTube, and it's Tony Clark Tuesday. Not only that, it's his birthday. He's on Skype, and Tony is the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Newport News in Virginia. You know what else it is today? It's National Whosoever's Day, because it's 3:16, John 3:16.
Wow.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not
Now,
perish.
yesterday was National Nap Day, and I did want to just acknowledge that I appreciate the extra love you showed me on my birthday, because you gave me a birthday song, and we didn't do that for Tony. So I just appreciate the extra layer of love that you threw my way.
Bobby,
Yeah.
Bobby, you're
got some
spoiling.
extra love.
No, Bobby is spoiling the surprise. We have got a special song coming up here at the end of the program.
That's right.
That Brian's going to sing.
Brian who? Brian you, right?
Brian Perez.
No, my goodness.
In Spanish.
In Espanol, yes.
Okay, so
We were talking about
I was
Jude
saying,
and the canon.
so the Jude, the canon, and of course there's the Old Testament apocrypha, and then there's the New Testament apocrypha, and the Old Testament apocrypha is not necessarily theologically problematic. It's more, it's history and it's just Jewish intertestamental writings. The New Testament Apocrypha has some problematic, the Gospel of Thomas and that sort of thing. But then you've got like the Epistle of Clement, and you've got some of these early, church fathers sort of writings that actually can be helpful. Like what I was going to say is like, well, today, we read lots of books by Christian authors. We read books by people that we respect, and we quote them, and we put them in our sermons and things like that. Now, they're not scripture. They don't have that same kind of authority as God's word, but
Reliable.
they're reliable, and they can be used by God. So the same thing is true with some of these other ancient books even. You just have to be careful which ones you are considering.
Exactly.
Tony, did you have anything to add to the conversation?
Because the book of Jasher is also mentioned in the Old Testament, and you're right. There's some books that they the Jews looked upon as being, in the sense of historical, and they quoted from them, and it doesn't pose problems, theologically.
Yeah, I mean the canon, which means the accepted books, it doesn't mean that those are the only books in all of the Hebrew literature that had inspiration in them. Like the Enoch thing, that passage is inspired.
Yeah.
So, but these are the books that God wanted in. Like you said, Tony, there's the book of Jasher. There's also a reference to the book of the Wars of the Lord in the Old Testament as well. So, and, even in the New Testament, Paul implies in writing to the Corinthians that there is actually another Corinthian letter that never was
lost.
part of the canon. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and if we found that, based on what Paul said, and if we could really verify that would be interesting. Would people say this is part of the canon now?
Yeah. Then I'd be teaching 3 Corinthians instead of 1 Corinthians.
That's right.
It is believed that what we have is 2nd, 4th Corinthians, and we call it 1st and 2nd Corinthians.
Yeah.
But then some even have said that 3rd and 4th Corinthians they're kind of tucked into our 2nd Corinthians, and so it's just a lot of talk out there about that kind of stuff.
Did you hear they found more fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
I did, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they found a 2,000-year-old biblical text in Greek, the prophet Nahum.
Wow.
Yeah, in a cave near Qumran.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the different types of discoveries that are happening there. And it's the dating thing too. Doesn't that just kind of blow you away? I always find myself going, well, especially when the years get really long. How do we always know this? But that's really cool. So the book of Nahum.
Wow.
Yeah, portions of it.
Yeah.
888-564-6173. We're going to stay in California to talk to Mary. Welcome to Pastor's Perspective, Mary.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. And happy birthday, Tony. You're still a young man. I wanted to ask you, okay, sorry. I just had a...
Sounds like you're flying an airplane or something.
Here. Yeah. I'm close to a little airport.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Okay, so I had two questions. Well, and first of all, that little resource you were talking about, the booklet on your website, Brian?
Yes.
Does that talk about the new heaven and the new earth also?
No, it doesn't. It's just strictly dealing with the subject of the rapture. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll call back about that another time. So the reason I was calling today is because my son said that people can't help what they believe, that if they don't believe something, it's because they haven't been shown sufficient evidence. And I said that I think that sometimes people have been shown evidence and they choose not to believe something.
Yes.
And so I wanted to get your perspective on that. And then I had one other question, too. I don't know if you want me to ask that now or wait.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, Mary. And, the Bible speaks of unbelief, and it speaks of unbelief as a choice. You choose not to believe, and you're held accountable for unbelief. So, if it was something you had no control over, then it would be hard to see how you'd be held accountable for it. But God will judge those who refuse to believe. Sometimes it's a lack of evidence or information, but more often than not, it's a matter of the will. People simply choose not to believe.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Thank you. And then the other thing, none of my kids are walking with the Lord right now, and one of my good friends has suggested going around my house and anointing the doors with oil and praying over the house. And I thought, is that biblical to pray over your house? I mean, I don't think I have evil spirits in my house.
Okay, Bobby, what would you say about praying over your house, anointing it with oil, etc.?
Well, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, I remember when we were having a home built, and as we were having the home constructed and the foundation was laid, we, wrote Bible verses on the foundation. Now, our experience living there was miserable. We had a tough season. So just because you write Bible verses on the foundation of your home doesn't mean that everything's going to go smooth. I look back and I think, wow, if there was ever a house that you would think would be a smooth sailing ride, it would be that home. But there was some tough times in there. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean I shouldn't have put those Bible verses down. Who knows what would have happened if I didn't, maybe. I don't know. But I don't think there's anything wrong with dedicating rooms in our home to the Lord. That can be a good thing. I think that we can get superstitious about that sometimes, and that's the part that I would be leery of when you move into a house and somebody's like, oh, you got to have somebody come in and pray over it. Or if something bad's happening in your home and everybody says, oh, we're going to come over and pray over your house. Like, it's not the house that needs prayer. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day,
it's the people in the house.
It's the people in the house. So that's my point.
So, Mary, the real thing, and I'm sure you know this, and you're doing this already. Sounds like somebody's giving you sort of like a quick fix. Like, well, if you just get the oil around your house, then that'll sort out your kids.
Yeah,
that's probably not going to happen. You got to just keep praying for them, and keep loving them, and keep praying. And we've all had the experience, I think, thankfully Bobby hasn't probably had this yet, or maybe Brian, but I know Tony and I have had our kids have made decisions at times to...
And your great-great-grandkids have also, in the midst of...
they make wrong decisions. Sometimes they walk away from the Lord. They decide, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go do my own thing. that is so heartbreaking for parents. What do we do? What do you do when you can't, you talk to them and they're not interested? Well, here's what you do. You pray for them because that's where the power is. So just keep praying for them. And it might, sometimes it takes a long time, but God's at work. So,
any advice to add, Tony?
A lot of this is really huge in the Black community. They always want the pastor to come over and bless the house. A lot of that mindset is taken from the story in the Gospels that said that when the evil spirit is taken out of the house and the house is swept clean, and then he goes and gets 7 other demons more wicked than himself, and he comes back and dwells there. The last state of that man is worse than the first. And so many have taken that to be the literal house instead of the body of the individual. And so many of them have said, I need you to come over and bless my house. I don't want the evil spirits to come back. And so it becomes, as they already said, something that is very superstitious. And if something goes on, they will say, oh, it's because you didn't get your house blessed. And so it becomes something very, very superstitious. But it's nothing wrong with dedicating the house. Solomon dedicated the temple and all this sort of stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when we begin to make it superstitious or something like a cross around the neck is, you're going to ward off the evil. And so, see, when we start going down those roads, that's when we become a little
weird.
I was going to say that. I didn't know whether that was politically correct to say that on the air. I was going to say weird.
Nothing is politically correct to say on the air. So, yeah. But Mary, thank you for your phone call today on the Pastor's Perspective program. 888-564-6173 is our telephone number. Answering your questions today are Pastor Brian Brodersen of Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa in Southern California, author and apologist Dr. Bobby Conway from the 1 Minute Apologist channel on YouTube, also 1minuteapologist.com, and Tony Clark, the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Newport News in Virginia, who's celebrating a birthday today. Let's go to Rose in California. Welcome to the program, Rose.
Oh, hi. Thank you for taking my call. I want to ask you about slaying in the spirit.
Yes.
Benny Hinn does that and to the audience, and he stretches his arm, and the people fall down. And I would like to know if it's biblical, and did Jesus do that, and what is the benefit of it?
Rose, what is your thought on it?
Well, I really don't believe there's anything. It's just that Benny Hinn does that.
Yeah.
Because I wonder, my friend was talking about it, and I said, well, what is the benefit of it? What do you get when you slay in the spirit?
Right, yep. Well, look, we're all on the same page. We're with you on that. And I would, just give a little bit of a caution. I think that there are times, I know there are times because I've know reputable people that have had the experience where, the Lord has come on them in such a way, maybe during a worship service or something that they just lost all strength and fell down. But there was no theatrics. There was no big, kind of power person up front doing anything. It was just the Spirit did it. So, yeah, I think the stuff that Benny has done over the years, and we're watching some on we're watching some on the internet as we speak. He's just going around knocking everybody over, throwing his coat around, and all of that. This is craziness, and it's really sad that this is the kind of thing that people get swept up in. And this is the kind of thing that non-Christians look on and say, what in the world are these Christians thinking and doing? So, and your question is good. What is the point? Yeah, that is a good question.
Now, somebody might say, well, of course, the natural man doesn't understand the things of the Spirit. So that's why people don't that's why non-Christians don't understand the whole Benny Hinn thing.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a Christian and I don't understand it.
That's right. We're not in that category of the natural man.
Right.
But it's not biblical, right? It's not in the Bible.
No, it's not biblical.
And Jesus didn't do that.
No, he did not do that.
You know, the one passage, though, that is just crazy that I've heard somebody bring up before in maybe writing, I read it somewhere, that when Jesus was, just filled with blood after praying in the garden and the soldiers all fell back.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, see, this is slain in the spirit. I don't think it was slain in the spirit. Number one, the spirit hasn't been sent yet. But number two, I think what it was is they were just aghast at that he was sweating great drops of blood. That seems like a much more, biblical explanation than slain in the spirit. So that's what people would say, though.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, which is a very bad interpretation of that. Yes, and so, but once again, I'm asking as well, what is the benefit? Okay, God can do what He wants to do. If He wants to knock me down and have me there for hours, He can do what He wants to do. But I'm asking, what's the benefit? Will I get up and have a hunger for prayer? Or for the word? Would I want to memorize some scripture? Would I want to go and preach to the masses? What would be the benefit of that? To knock me out for hours, to show me, and they would say, well, to show you He's God. I said, I don't need Him to knock me out like that. I already know He's God. The Bible says He's God. So why do I need to be knocked out or slain for Him to show me He's God? Yeah. So I'm with you. What is the benefit of that? And no one is able to really give me anything.
Yeah, and this is kind of a classic illustration of sort of just the longing for an experience. So the benefit is you have an experience, but as someone has said, it's not how high you can jump. It's how straight you can walk when your feet hit the ground, So like you said, Tony, I mean, is the benefit that you come up just being more and more transformed into the image of Jesus? You're filled with the Spirit. You're full of grace and mercy and love. And, is that happening? I don't think so. I think it's a momentary emotional experience that makes you feel good, and then you go home, and then you got to go back next week to get it again because it's not a lasting thing. Now, Benny Hinn has had some, interesting sort of things to say recently about his own ministry, that he's now questioning the validity of much of what he's done. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll come around and just renounce all of that stuff someday and just become a normal person.
I remember, and I've shared this story with you guys before, I've been part of more cessationist schooling. Yeah. My Bible college was cessationist, Dallas Theological Seminary is cessationist, where I did my first doctorate in apologetics. That was a cessationist school. I'm not a cessationist, meaning that I don't believe that the gifts have ceased to exist, but I'm somebody that is very cautious and, discerning as much as I can about stuff, and I've been skeptical at times. But I do remember that we were on this road trip one time, and Heather and I were young Christians. We showed up at this church, I think in Louisiana, and people were walking forward, and they were being slain in the Spirit. And I found myself just out of curiosity thinking, man, I'm going to walk up there and just see what's going on. And I said, "Hun, let's walk." And she's more skeptical than me. And so we're walking up there, and I felt like I walked and penetrated like an invisible, wall. And it was like I was in clear jello for a moment. And I looked at her, I said, "Can you feel that?" And she said, "Yes." And these two catcher guys came up and very gently just took our hands, and both Heather and I fell back. And even as I was back on my back, I was analyzing the whole thing going, okay, this happened. I felt something different. I'm laying back. What was this? I'm going, okay, I feel peaceful. So then I stood up, and then the next week we went to our church and we were having our prayer service, and we invited people. I said, "Come up forward if you need prayer." And then I can just remember like putting my hands out and holding the person's hand and kind of just giving a little nudge to kind of see like, are they going to go back? And they didn't. But I found myself really confused for the longest time of going, what was that experience? Like, okay, I wanted to see it happen if I had something. I didn't force it. And I think all I've reduced it down to is the same way I do with tongues. Like, there are abuses of tongues, but I think that, yes, there could be some of that there. I think all that it showed me is that God can operate in ways that maybe I would never expect. And that's what Jonathan Edwards said during the First Great Awakening, too. He said, marks of Great Awakening revival, there are some mysterious things that were taking place during that time. Yeah. Maybe God was just showing that. But the stuff you see where hens going out and they're guaranteeing all that stuff, and I think trying to refabricate this as a movement is problematic.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Rose, thank you for your phone call today on the Pastor's Perspective program. 888-564-6173 is the number. That's 888-564-6173. Brian Brodersen, Bobby Conway, and the birthday boy, Tony Clark. Tony's joining us via Skype from his home in Newport News, Virginia. But yeah, it's his birthday, and he's here hanging out with us.
And we should sing happy birthday to him.
Should we?
I think so.
Not in Spanish.
Happy birthday.
No. Bobby.
Oh, happy birthday to
Happy
birthday, dear Tony. Happy birthday to you.
I got you a bran muffin, bro.
Oh,
It's a bran muffin.
Come on out here and eat it, baby.
Because, double nickel now. You might need that.
Bobby's like a kid. He's so anxious to get to the singing part.
He already ripped open your birthday
He almost
present.
blew it. Yeah, he's next thing you know, he's going to be reaching over here and grabbing this muffin and downing it. Bobby, you got to take this back to Tony. You've got to go when you go back to North Carolina. He's just in Virginia. You take it, wrap it up, and then
just drive it to
just
him.
drive it up to him for his birthday.
Drive it on up.
You know, it looks a bit petrified here at the moment. There's some stuff going on, and but it does look good.
Thank you so much
We
for
love
the
you, Tony.
birthday love.
You know what? That birthday song was also for Tommy Coda because I know he's listening to us right now. So, Tommy, happy birthday, buddy.
He just wrote me too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wrote me.
All right.
Great brother.
Yes, he is. Got to have him on the program again soon. 888-564-6173. Al in Riverside. Hello.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon. And happy birthday, Tony. Men of Faith, how are you guys?
Great, Al. Thanks.
My question, which is kind of a loaded question, this whole women's rights movements or people's rights and this gender equality, I know that we're looking at with this whole situation now, and especially I'm just noticing now that how this is just some crazy, insane movement by liberals that I can't wrap my head around it. So my question is, how are the churches going to deal with this when you have male and female bathrooms, and then you have these different genders going into the bathrooms? And I know you really can't say anything to them, but how is the church going to deal with this?
Have you guys thought about that? Brian, Tony, Bobby?
Well, obviously there are people that really want to erase any kind of freedom to reject or disagree. They want to impose their particular view on the whole nation, you know. And the Equality Act is pushing things in that direction. Now, the Equality Act hasn't passed the Senate, and it's been here before, and it never, made it past the Senate. Hopefully, it won't. But if it does, I think this is a place where churches we're just going to have to stand our ground and just say, we're not going to comply. There are things that we can't do because we have a law that supersedes the law of the land, and of course that law is the law of God. So, So this could be the time when things get hotter and hotter for Christians and for churches. And, hopefully it won't, but, it surely might. And we will find ourselves in the same place that many, many Christians currently are in today and have been in for most of history.
Yeah. Anything to add, Bobby?
Well, I think you're spot on. We are making decisions as a culture that we're not recognizing it's going to lead to Christian persecution. And I think that that's the problem, where I just read about today, like, one state's trying to get kids to no longer refer to mom and dad and mom and dad.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting over the top, bizarre.
Yeah. Tony?
No, the music started.
Yeah.
I agree with them.
Go have a great birthday dinner with your family.
Yes.
Yeah, they all over, the kids, grandkids, they all waiting on me. And so thank you for the birthday love. And
You bet.
I'm going to go and
We
hang
love you,
out
buddy.
with them. Love you too. God
And
bless you guys.
You'll get your bran muffin next week. All right. Thanks so much for listening to the Pastor's Perspective program. God bless you all. Good night.
Thanks for listening to Pastor's Perspective. We trust you've been blessed and had your question answered. Join us Monday through Friday and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Pastor's Perspective. The preceding was sponsored by Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa, California.